Hi, thanks so much for joining me today. I'm going to be showing you how to make this very fun bath fizzy, but it's not just any bath fizzy. No. It has extra skin-loving ingredients like Himalayan pink sea salt and cocoa butter. This bath fizzy is made in one of Brambleberry's latest, greatest molds. It's from our Fresh Citrus collection, and obviously it looks just like an orange, a lemon, or a lime, or whatever color you want to make it look like. In this case, we went with grapefruit because the fragrance we're using is the Grapefruit Glow from the Brambleberry Fresh Citrus collection. And yes, it smells like grapefruit. It also has surprising notes of lily of the valley, lemon, and mandarin. So it's really a very fresh, bright, happy fragrance. This color from here comes from a little bit of the pink Himalayan sea salt and of course just a little bit of the rose gold mica from Brambleberry and some mica painting. So let's go ahead and get started. So first we're going to start with our classic combination for a bath fizzy base, which is 2 parts baking soda to 1 part citric acid. And this is what makes the fizzing reaction. These 2 things alone make the fizzing reaction. I like my nail polish, so I'm going to be putting on some gloves just so that baking soda doesn't scour away all my fingernails, or rather fingernail polish. But there's no like, it's not inherently dangerous or anything. It's just I don't want that baking soda, which is pretty abrasive as the citric acid is as well, to take off my nail polish. So now I'm just working all the clumps out. The reason we work all the clumps out is because if your mixture has clumps in it, the finished bath fizzies are prone to get like kind of warts or little bumps that grow out of them. So you really want there to be an even mixture, and you want to work out like all the little clumps that just kind of naturally occur in the baking soda. Now it's time to add the last of our dry ingredients, which is our Himalayan pink sea salt. Himalayan pink sea salt actually comes from ancient salt beds that are in the Himalayan mountains. I like that it has a little natural pink color, of course, and in your bath, it's supposed to help detoxify and really give you a nice relaxing bath. In terms of the colorant, we don't need a lot of this rose gold mica. We're just gonna do like 1/4 of a teaspoon. It's really not very much. It's just enough to give this a little added pink. Remember, anytime you add too much color to a bath fizzy, you run the risk of A, ring around the tub, but B, also dyeing, as in coloring your water. So that's one of the reasons we go with light and subtle colors, unless that's the look we're going for. So now that we have our dry ingredients fully sifted and beautifully mixed together, we're gonna focus on our wet ingredients. This is deodorized cocoa butter. It still has a nice kind of warm smell, but definitely not as chocolatey as a full cocoa butter. I'm gonna add my lemon extract to this cocoa butter. That's because it'll help it melt down more cleanly and evenly in the microwave. I'm gonna do just about 1 ounce of the lemon extract, which interestingly enough doesn't smell like anything, and it's in a fractionated coconut oil base, so that's gonna add to the skin-loving nature of this bath fizzy. So I'm just gonna pop this in the microwave and watch these cocoa pastilles melt down evenly. Now that this is fully melted, I'm gonna go ahead and add my polysorbate and my fragrance. What's polysorbate, you ask? Well, polysorbate 80 is an emulsifier. So what that means is it helps to prevent that ring around the tub, and it also binds with the oils in the bath fizzy to create more of a silky feel in the bath as opposed to an oily feel. It's totally optional. This recipe will work without it, but I really like it for just, again, a silky feel in the bath and preventing that ring around the tub. Then into my wet ingredients, I'm also going to add this Grapefruit Glow, and I'm just gonna use about 0.7 ounces. You could probably use just a little bit more if you really wanted to, because remember, you are scenting the entire bathtub with your bath fizzy, but this is gonna be pretty strong at 0.7 ounces. Now I'm gonna drizzle in my wet ingredients while kind of just moving my hand around. You could use a whisk for this as opposed to your hand. I find my hand to be slightly more expedient than a whisk, but it is a little messier. Others in this office use a whisk. So now I'm gonna look at this and just kind of see how it's sticking together. We really do need this to stick together pretty firmly. This is like a nice kind of pie crust, and honestly, if this was going in the disc molds from Brambleberry, I would probably feel comfortable molding right now. This is going into these beautiful silicone molds with quite a lot of detail in them, so I do want this to be a little bit wet. So I'm gonna use some witch hazel to dampen this down even more. So now that I've made a giant mess, let's go ahead and look. Ooh, that is sticking together really nicely, and it's so smooth. We are ready to put this in the molds. Now the key for these molds is to press and press and press and press. So You might get a little tired of it, but it's totally worth it to get this level of detail. It's so gorgeous, especially in this Bath Fizzy. So put your mixture into the molds. And what I like to do is kind of just fill all the molds and then work on my kind of detail pressing work. So put your mixture into the molds and then you're gonna press, and that looks great. And in a normal mold that had no detail, that would probably be fine. That would probably be okay. It's not okay in these molds. You really have to give this a lot more pressing down than you would think, because you need all those little details to actually get their full complement of Bath Fizzy in them. I'm just gonna go ahead and finish filling these, and then we'll let these sit for a solid 24 hours before popping them out of the mold. So these are almost all the way in, and you know what? When you think you are done, you need to do more. Just keep pressing. The reason that we need to let these be pressed so much is, of course, that detail work, but also we need that cocoa butter to get in there and solidify and harden. So part of the reason that these sit for 24 hours and have to sit for 24 hours is because we want all those oils to harden, and we want this entirely to pretty much dry out. And that's one of the things the salt helps with, is the hardness and the drying out with as well. I'm gonna go ahead and finish all these cavities and then let these sit for 24 hours before we take on the next step. So I made these a full 24 hours ago, and now they're time to pop out. With silicone molds, when you pop these out, and really it's particularly silicone molds with details, not just like a plain silicone mold, you wanna make sure you're popping them out and pushing down evenly, as opposed to using your thumbs like you would with a normal bar of soap. So kind of gently pull away from the sides, and then really trying to apply even pressure. Go slow. We don't want these Bath Fizzies to crack in half. And then you can kind of see it coming out. Use the palm of your hand. It's really tempting to use thumbs. It really is. And then they just pop out gorgeously. And from here, we're gonna paint them. But first, I've got to get these all out. So as I'm popping these out, I'm noticing a couple little details aren't really as clean as I want. Don't you worry, we're gonna pretty these up because they get painted, so no one's gonna notice if little details are just a tiny bit off. These are all out, and before I mix my color, I'm just gonna kind of make sure that there's a little bit of dust on some of these. I'm gonna blow it off. They're so delicate that I don't really wanna like use my fingers because I could break some of these ridges. But we want a clean painting surface to make sure that our paint goes on evenly and all the details look really good. To make paint to put onto our Bath Fizzies, it's just 1 tablespoon, or honestly, I eyeball it. You can do a teaspoon or a tablespoon, depending on how much color you're actually trying to mix up. I'm gonna use 1 part of the rose gold mica to 1 part of our super pearly white mica to make kind of a really good match for this. It's a good shimmer, but it's not too kind of, well, colorful, so it ends up really looking pretty. You can do whatever you want though. I've tried this in just the straight up white. I've tried it just with the straight up rose gold. Really, it's whatever color you want. And of course, if you were doing orange colored or a green color, you'd wanna probably match that. Now that this is fully mixed up, I'm gonna take all of this, because if we do this, it'll just soak on through. I'm just gonna really kind of just get little mini bits in there. And then we just go from the sides to do the ridges, and then we'll end up filling in all the way around. And it's the easiest painting I've personally ever done on a Bath Fizzy, and I really have, well, none. I have no skills when it comes to painting, especially with Bath Fizzies. So this is pretty exciting that we have these ridges as almost like just a little line or a marker for me to follow. So there are little bits that sort of broke off when I put this out of the mold, and I'm just filling them in as though the little bits were still there. No one's gonna notice it, and it's gonna fizz no matter what in the tub, and it's gonna be fantastic, but you know, just to make the design look extra perfect. I also noticed I was a little sloppy on the sides, and I can see a little bit here, so on my next one, I'm gonna be more careful when I go around and over the edges, just to make sure that the lines look extra clean. So I'm gonna continue painting these until they're all done. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. And of course, subscribe to our channel if you're not already subscribed, so you get notified every time a new video comes out. When you post your creations to social media, we love to see them. Our hashtag is BrambleOn, and when you hashtag your creations with that, we'll be able to see it in the entire soap making community, and maker community will be also able to revel in what you've made. Until next time, you guys, I can't wait to see what you create. Happy crafting.